Robin, can we start with the injuries? It seemed like a lot of defenders were coming out late for the training session.
Let's see. The list is long and not so distinguished. Nix will be out. Henry will be out. Zane will be out. Ula's having some lower body discomfort. Not likely to play tomorrow. There's one other. The long-term ones. Richie, obviously, DeAndre, don't really have any updates on them. Not out of sight, out of mind, but certainly focus is here and now, and they're not involved immediately. I think that's it.
So you're pretty short on the back line, then. You've got enough
Seems that
bodies,
way.
but not too many left over.
Seems that way, and nobody wants to sign a 58-year-old with bad knees, so I guess I'm not involved.
How do you account for all these injuries, Rob?
I don't know, to be honest. You know, as somebody who was injured a lot as a player, I played it through a lot, but I certainly have been in those shoes, and you know, injuries can occur in the weirdest ways. I mean, the fact that we've had to be on turf, you know, for all this time basically can account for it. I mean, there are lots of people who say, oh, turf is just like grass, but I don't think those people ever actually played on turf and grass to know the difference. So that might have something to do with it, change of surfaces, because it's not like all the injuries are just straight muscle injuries. We've had weird things, ankle things. We've had, I think, a little bit of compartment syndrome. We've had, I think, some hip things. It's been a really weird season so far in terms of injuries. But I'd like to think that once we get outside and get on grass consistently, that'll have some effect.
What do you think of Minnesota this year? I mean, from the little that I've seen them, they seem pretty defensively compact and are really good on the counterattack. Is that sort of your reading of them as well?
Yeah, I mean, they've had incredible success. I think they're 6 games undefeated right now in a row. I think they want to play a certain way, and they've recruited players to suit that style. And they've done a good job of that. They're definitely very compact defensively. They're very hard to break down. Offensively, they put a lot of balls in the box. They have big bodies. They challenge. They make it tough, and you have to be engaging. You have to be up for the fight. You have to be up to battle and win some of these duels, because from what I've seen, they win more than their share of duels, and that turns into attacks and turns into goals. So for us, we have to be prepared to challenge for first balls, challenge for second balls, and certainly we expect that to be a big part of the game.
Did you say Ola Brynhildsen was he on the injured?
That is the same Ola, yes.
Oh. So we can add forwards to the defense as well.
Correct.
Is he out for sure, Robert, or is it just unlikely? It's still
it's highly unlikely. I'll say that.
Still searching for the first win. I know progress has been made. I just wonder, though, is pressure to get results now, is that starting to mount, or?
I think there's always pressure to get results. I think it's professional sports. That's the way it works. But we can only control the things we can control, which is controlling our preparation, controlling our tactics, controlling, and this is for the players, to control their mentality once they get on the field. And I strongly believe that we've made strides in all of those areas recently, and if we continue to do so, that we'd certainly like to think results are on the way. But it's very much about continuing in the vein of what we've seen over the last 2 or 3 weeks. I just think our engagement and our commitment has been really good, and as a result, we've obviously played 2 good teams and gotten draws. And then we have another good team this weekend, and that same mentality needs to exist.
We talked about it in the post-game a little bit, but the commitment from Fede was certainly plain to see last week on both ends of the field. You like what you're seeing from him?
100%. I mean, I think it's not just him. I think it's really all over the field. The commitment's been excellent. Federico last weekend made huge plays on both ends of the field. And I think it's really important when your biggest players show that sort of commitment. And I think of his commitment, I think of Lorenzo's commitment to defending and making the right decisions defensively. I think of also his determination, the ground he covers. And then Sean, some of the huge saves he made. When I think of some of the leaders of the team, certainly those come to mind, and it's really important that the guys who have the ability to lead, that they do so. And I think leading by example is a great way to get your team involved. And they're vocal, all of them, and they're talking and demanding as well. But it's one thing to demand, it's another thing to, as we talked about, it's one thing to talk the talks, and another thing to walk the walk. And I think what we've seen over the last couple of weeks is that our leaders, the guys who we think would have the most influence, are walking the walk, and they're bringing people along with them.
If you start to think ahead towards May, because it's 7 games during a hectic month, I think it's an average of like 4 games every other day.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it just about what's immediately ahead of you right now?
I mean, it's in the back of my mind because we play so many games at home that we would like to think if we do things the right way, our season can look different by the end of May. But again, it's going to take guys being healthy, guys remaining committed, guys really playing the way that we've seen for the last couple of weeks. And I think that results will happen if we continue in that vein. And certainly with the number of games we have in May and the number of games we have at home in May, we look forward to that, but I feel like that target even gets farther and farther away if we don't get some results sooner.
Do you get the feeling, though, that the results are just around the corner with the way the team has been playing, especially against the elite opposition you've been up against?
I do. I think that we will get some results that we're happy about, which I don't think that our play, our record reflects the way we have played recently. I had a friend in Miami who's down there and talked to him, and he goes to all their games, and he said, the first thing he said to me after the game was, your record really doesn't indicate the way that you play. And I said, yeah, I appreciate that, but we need to get some wins to have our record start to reflect the way that we play. So we definitely feel like we're doing a lot right, but we also know that we don't have the results that we need to have, and we certainly look forward to each game as an opportunity to start to do so.
Speaking of the season, as you know, the league discussed the movement of the calendar to reflect the
International calendar, yeah.
Which I guess would be a Christmas break type thing. But even if they took a 5-week break, it'd be hard to see how you could play it up here.
Yeah, it would be tough. I don't know all the extent of the details of those discussions. I do think the heated fields are one thing that are critically important if we're going to do that. I mean, obviously there's so many teams that play pretty far north. We play on grass. Minnesota plays on grass. Colorado plays on grass. I think I don't know how the plans, what is the plan to get to the international calendar, but I do think it would take a lot of work, a lot of infrastructure needs to be put in place for that to happen. I think we'd all enjoy being on the international calendar. I just don't know if that's I have no idea if that's a real possibility here.